With CP3 now gone and this report, do you think Doc Rivers is the problem?
I think, man, I don't want to say this. I take no pleasure in saying this. I've talked to Doc Rivers on this program, I've talked to Doc Rivers on the Ryan Russillo show. I like Doc Rivers. But you have to put the blame on Doc Rivers. You have to say Doc Rivers is the problem. John, don't you agree? I mean, let's start off right off the bat. You have to say that.
No, I don't think Doc is the problem at all. I don't think CP3 wanted to be a Clipper from day one. When he was when David Stern blocked the trade to the Lakers and they sent him back to the Pelicans, and then next thing you know, he's back with the Clippers because it was better for the league at that time to have a point guard go with Blake Griffin.
But look,
I think Doc was just in the place, and I think Chris Paul always wanted to be somewhere else.
this is the debate we constantly have about leadership. You know, I don't want to say this. I don't want to say this about Doc, but you know, when I see the arithmetic add up, it has to have something at the end of the equal sign. And this is the true very nature of leadership. So what's the mathematical equation adding up to the fact that in the end, this has to be on Doc, that Doc is the problem? It's this. It's now undeniable that the Los Angeles Clippers were a dysfunctional organization, that they had a mixture of personalities that not only were underneath Doc with CP3, Blake, DeAndre, and Austin, but that included Doc that were not getting along. That's not debatable. Right. That is on the table. That is part of the math equation. The Los Angeles Clippers did not work from an abstract personality standpoint. Just start there. Forget basketball. Forget it. It's about who you are as human beings.
Right.
Whose job is it to make that work? It's the leader. It's the leader of the team's job to make all that work. So when you start breaking it down and you say, okay, it doesn't work, why doesn't it work? Well, you've either got a leader that's causing problems, a leader that's not correcting problems that exist, or that it is an ultimately unsolvable problem. And if Doc did the things that Michael Eaves is reporting, and just for this moment, let's assume those to be true. If Doc turned down a trade for Carmelo because Austin was part of that deal, that's a huge problem. If Doc was giving Austin special treatment compared to the other players, that's a huge problem. But if I now say, let's not take Michael Eaves' report, let's not assume it's true, even having Austin in-house under your leadership is going to, you have to know this, create this kind of thing.
Yeah, but that's a form of jealousy that they're going to run through. I played with some coaches and the coach's son. I played with Mark Price, who was a coach's son, and that wasn't the situation. His father wasn't coaching us, but I understand when you're a coach's son. Lonzo had to do it last year with Alfred at UCLA. Those kids usually play extra hard. Those kids usually do things over the top to prove that they're not daddy's favorite. I don't believe, and I think it's pettiness to go back onto this, I think Rondo, who at one time people think is a problem, he got along with Doc to a point. So I think that CP3 can get along with Doc. The reason I also don't think it's Doc's fault is these guys have contracts, so they're forced to be in this position. So you might have you might have half the team being oil, half the team being water. They don't want to gel together. When I was on a crazy team, we had different characters, but when we got on court, no egos. That's the man, that's the second man, that's the third option. We were cool with it because it helped us win. Winning covers a multitude of sins. They haven't won, so now the sins are coming out.
Yeah, but John, you had two extraordinary leaders making sure that everyone was pulling in the same direction. You had Chuck Daly and Phil Jackson ensuring that all those personalities that you yourself have defined as little mini businesses on that roster are all working towards the same end profit, the same end goal, which is getting W's and ultimately trophies. That's what you have to bring together. And that didn't happen in Los Angeles.
No.
And that's a failure of leadership. That has to be. Look, I swear to you, I take no pleasure in this, and I want to be talked out of it. I want to hear from Doc. I want to hear from someone that can tell me, no, this is why, well, I don't even know what can be told to me, John, that it was ultimately, it couldn't be led, that it was impossible situation, that it's dysfunctional at its very core, that there's some other reason that leadership couldn't grab the reins of this thing and put it back on the right track.
Well, you're forgetting, Will, that the leadership had changed. When Donald Sterling's, that whole debacle that went on, those guys then rallied together and they said, this is what we're going to fight against. And that was the only time they were together, to me. And then we go into a whole different situation where now Doc has a new owner. How do you act? You got more say-so. He brought in another head coach with Woodson be on the side of him. I think they had enough people in place, but I just think the modern-day athlete sometimes gets in his own way.
Look, bottom line, the CP3 era with the Clippers, it didn't live up to the expectations. The talk about him not getting to the Western Conference Finals, we're not even talking about the finals.